Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're dealing with organizational security, well, you've definitely come across ISO-IEC-27001.
Oh, absolutely. It's really the global benchmark, isn't it? That foundational blueprint for an information security management system, an ISMS.
It is, and it can seem pretty dense, but it's so vital.
It really is. And for you listening, the aim isn't just ticking boxes or, drowning in hundreds of pages.
Right.
You want the core logic. What does the standard really say is essential knowledge?
And that's exactly our mission today. We're looking at the key ideas behind the standard, the clauses that really test if an organization gets security governance.
Think of it like a shortcut to understanding the system's DNA.
We're not prepping you for a test, though maybe touching on some exam context might help frame things.
Yeah, good point. So the foundation exam, typically you're looking at about 60 minutes.
Okay.
Usually around 40 multiple choice questions. Pass mark tends to hover around maybe 60-65%.
And closed book, right, no notes.
Generally, yes,
Yeah.
closed book. So you need to know the concepts, not just where to find them.
Right, so it's about understanding, not memorization. We're dissecting the core principles.
Exactly. And you can kind of think of the standard in maybe three big parts.
Okay.
First, defining the problem that's risk. Second, implementing solutions, the controls. And third, making sure it all keeps working and improving the lifecycle stuff.
Got it. Risk, controls, life cycle.
Get those three, and you basically get the ISMS.
Okay, let's dive into that blueprint then. And we absolutely have to start with risk.
It has to be risk.
It's the foundation for everything else.
Yeah.
The whole ISMS only exists because of information security risk.
Get this bit wrong, and honestly, the rest is just, well, expensive window dressing.
Yeah, I can see that.
So understanding what the standard requires as the output of that risk assessment process, that's clause 6.1.2, it's absolutely crucial.
It's not just about brainstorming threats then.
No, it demands a really systematic process. You need clear, usable data coming out of it.
So what does ISO 27001 actually demand from that assessment?
Yeah.
What's the mandatory output?
Okay, three key things. Risks need to be identified, then analyzed, and finally evaluated.
Identified, analyzed, evaluated. Okay.
Yeah.
Identifying them is step one, sure. But the analysis, figuring out likelihood and impact, that's where the real meat is. And then, crucially, the evaluation bit. That means comparing those calculated risks against criteria the organization has already set. Predefined criteria.
Okay, so it's not just a gut feeling like, ooh, that sounds risky.
Exactly.
It's more formal, like this specific risk level based on our agreed rules means we have to do something about it.
You've nailed it. That evaluated list, that becomes the absolute basis for deciding on security planning, on control selection.
Right.
If you skip that evaluation step, you'd have no objective way to prioritize controls or even justify spending.
Makes sense. Okay, so risk assessed. Now, what do we do about it? This is where the standard sets some boundaries, right, on acceptable actions.
Yes, the risk treatment options.
Yeah.
And this really tests an organization's philosophy,
Well, ISO-IE-27001 recognizes 4 legitimate options. They're pretty clear. Risk acceptance, basically. Live with it.
Yep.
Risk avoidance, stop doing the risky thing.
Got it.
Risk transfer, think insurance, or maybe outsourcing the risky part.
Right.
And finally, risk mitigation, implement controls to make the risk smaller, reduce likelihood or impact.
Acceptance, avoidance, transfer, mitigation. Those 4.
Those are the standard ones.
Now, I've seen practice questions sometimes throw in something like risk enhancement as a wrong answer. Why that specific term?
Yeah. That's a clever distractor.
Why?
Because in general business talk, sometimes people do talk about taking calculated risks for big rewards, maybe like entering a really volatile market. They might informally call it enhancing risk for profit.
Okay.
But, and this is the key point, within the context of an information security management system, it's a total contradiction.
Right, because the whole point is security.
Exactly. You can't deliberately increase information security risk threats to confidentiality, integrity, availability, and claim you're managing an ISMS according to the standard. It just doesn't compute.
So the system must always aim to reduce or manage risk, never intentionally increase it.
That's the fundamental requirement, yes.
Okay, that clarifies the philosophy. So assessment, treatment options.
Yeah.
Now let's get into Annex A, the controls. This is where it gets practical, right?
This is where the standard gives you the toolkit.
And how these tools address those 3 pillars: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Let's maybe start with availability.
Good idea. It sometimes gets less attention than, say, confidentiality, but if your data isn't there when you need it,
The business grinds to a halt.
Yeah. Exactly. So think about a control like point 8.12, backup. Which security property does that one primarily support?
Well, my first thought is definitely availability, making sure the data is there.
Okay.
But hang on. Doesn't restoring data correctly also touch on integrity, ensuring it's the right data being restored?
That's a really sharp observation. And yes, a good backup and restore process does contribute to integrity. You're restoring a known good state.
So why is availability the main answer?
Because the absolute core function, the primary mandated purpose of A.8.12 and the related restore processes, is ensuring the information and systems are accessible and usable after something goes wrong.
Ah, okay. Accessible and usable.
It's the bedrock of business continuity. So while integrity is related, availability is its purest function.
Got it. It's about getting the business back up and running. Okay, let's look at the types of controls now, because 27001 is definitely broad.
Very holistic.
Take something like data encryption 80.8.10.
Yeah.
That feels pretty straightforwardly technical.
Oh, absolutely. Undeniably a technological control. It uses crypto, algorithms,
code and hardware stuff.
Pure technical mechanisms built into the stack to protect confidentiality, maybe integrity during storage or transit. Textbook technical measure.
Okay, but then security isn't all about servers and firewalls. What about like the actual office? The standard talks about a clear desk and clear screen policy. That feels almost quaint compared to encryption.
It might feel low-tech, yeah, but within the ISMS framework, it carries just as much importance.
Really?
Absolutely. Clear desk and clear screen is a classic physical control.
Physical, okay.
And this highlights something crucial about 27001. Security isn't just digital, it extends into the physical workspace.
So stopping someone from just seeing a sensitive document on a desk.
Or glancing at classified info left up on a screen when someone walks away. Preventing that kind of unauthorized physical or visual access is just as vital as patching a server vulnerability.
It really hammers home that people can be the weak link, often through just carelessness. Physical oversight.
Precise. It underscores the management system part. It's not just a tech checklist.
That's fascinating, that a physical habit is right there alongside complex tech. Okay, one more category. What about risks from outside? Suppliers, partners.
Third-party risk. Very important.
Controls around supplier relationship management, like setting security requirements in contracts, monitoring their performance. 8.5.21, 8.5.22. What bucket do those fall into?
Well, think about what you're doing there. Setting requirements, defining contracts, checking up on them.
That sounds like managing processes and relationships. So, organizational.
Exactly. Organizational controls. These are all administrative, managerial activities.
Okay.
You're managing the risk from entities outside your direct control by setting rules, defining boundaries, and actively monitoring. That's organizational work.
Right. Makes perfect sense. Okay, so we've covered risk definition, the accepted treatments, the main control types, tech, physical, organizational. But you said earlier, it's not a one-shot deal. It's a living system, continuous improvement.
Yes. The PDCA cycle, Plan, Do, Check, Act, woven throughout the standard.
Which brings us to the operational clauses, making it work day to day and getting better over time.
And the success of that whole cycle, it really hinges on commitment from the top, resources.
Yes, resources. Clause 7.1 requires providing necessary resources for the ISMS. We touched on it, but what does resources actually cover here? It's not just buying software, is it?
Not at all. And honestly, Clause 7.1 is expansive. It's often where implementations stumble.
How so?
It mandates sufficient and appropriate resources.
Yeah.
That explicitly means skilled people, the right tech tools, sure, but also dedicated time and critically ongoing funding.
Time and funding, often the sticking points.
You bet. You could buy the fanciest new security gadget, but if you don't hire someone skilled to run it, or if the security manager is too swamped to actually do the management review, the system breaks down.
So good intentions, great plans.
Yeah.
But without Clause 7.1 resources, they're basically just paper exercises, bed plans.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so resources are committed, controls are running. Now we need to check. Are they actually working? That's the check phase.
That takes us straight to Clause 9.1, monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation.
And what's the fundamental question that whole process tries to answer?
It boils down to one thing. Is the ISMS performing as intended? Is it actually achieving its goals?
Seems simple enough, but is there a difference between just monitoring things and the analysis and evaluation part?
Oh, definitely. Monitoring and measuring might just track metrics like number of incidents, patch levels, things like that.
Okay.
Analysis and evaluation is about judging effectiveness. Clause 9.1 is the reality check. Is the ISMS actually meeting the security objectives we set? Is it effectively mitigating the risks we identified way back in 6.1.2?
Connecting it back to the risks.
Yes. If your risk assessment says things are stable, but your incident numbers are climbing, Clause 9.1 should catch that mismatch. It tells you something's not effective.
Okay. And if that check finds a problem, a failure, a nonconformity, then we need to fix it. The act phase.
Correct. And not just fix it, but stop it from happening again.
So which clause handles taking action to eliminate the cause of that nonconformity?
That would be Clause 10.1, nonconformity and corrective action.
And the emphasis is on the cause.
Absolutely critical. It's not about just slapping on a quick bandage.
Mm-hmm.
It demands a systematic look to find the root cause. Why did this happen?
Right.
And then taking effective action so that specific issue doesn't just reappear next month. That's the core of real continual improvement, which ISO mandates.
Okay, makes sense. Root cause analysis and effective fix. Finally, governance. Leadership can't just sign checks and disappear.
No, they need to stay involved, formally review the system.
That's Clause 9.3, Management Review. What specific element must that review assess to ensure the system stays on track for continual improvement?
The management review has to look at the continued suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the whole ISMS.
Okay.
And that absolutely requires evaluating the cornerstone document,
Mm-hmm.
the information security policy itself.
So not just looking at, say, last year's IT spending or getting vague opinions.
No, those might come up, but the policy is the key management deliverable. It sets the tone, defines risk appetite, outlines the security goals.
And it has to be checked regularly.
It has to be reviewed to make sure it still aligns with the business, with the current threats, with reality. Is it still fit for purpose?
That really ties it all together, back to the beginning. Risk assessment, controls, resources, it all flows from and it's checked against that top-level policy commitment confirmed in the review. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on as you look at your own security situation. Since 27001 covers this huge spectrum, right? Everything from complex data encryption to managing suppliers, right down to whether people leave papers on their desks.
Yeah, it's incredibly broad.
Maybe the single biggest vulnerability an organization faces isn't always a missing patch or a weak firewall configuration.
Interesting. Where are you going with this?
Maybe it's actually the failure to properly commit those organizational resources we talked about back in Clause 7.1.
The people, time, and money.
Exactly. If you don't have the skilled staff, if they don't have the time, if there isn't consistent funding, does even the best designed ISMS framework actually stand a chance? Or is it just a nice binder on a shelf?
That's a powerful point. Resource allocation. You could argue it's the ultimate risk mitigation control itself. Without it, the rest struggles.
Something to think about. We've given you the blueprint. Now go look at those risks and maybe double-check those resources.
Indeed.
Until next time, keep digging.